Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over the lowest recoil build for the M4 in patch 12.9. And like with all of my builds, there will be a link in the description to the Tarkov Gunsmith, which will have this build so you can easily find all the parts, and they will all have updated prices of the current price for the items on the flea market. And the M4 is actually a little bit different in this patch because a bunch of the parts were changed. The recoil is relatively the same, but with getting that recoil that low, the ergo has taken a bit of a drop compared to what it was last patch. So first off, the sight, use whatever sight you want. No sights reduce recoil anymore, so the only thing you have to look at is what sight you like, what range you want the sight to be used for, and if the sight is going to affect the weapon's ergo. Then we're going with the front and rear sights. Just pick any of the ones that gives +1 ergo to the weapon. I usually just use the Magpul M-Bus Gen 2 front and rear sights. Next, we're going to be using the SAI 14.5 inch QD rail, and then we're going to be using the Raptor charging handle for AR-15. And the difference between these charging handles is that some of them will give a +3 ergo boost compared to the normal charging handles, so that is pretty massive for a relatively cheap item. One of the two big changes for the M4 is the barrel we're going to be using. We're going to be using the 20-inch barrel because the jailbreak does not give the lowest recoil anymore. Now, one of the things that this affects is it gives you less ergo, and it's also a much longer gun. So if you're trying to, say, quickly peek doors or get your gun around a wall or around a corner, it's going to take longer because your gun is so much longer. Now for the stock, we're going to be using the SI Advanced Receiver Extension Buffer Tube. Now there are two of these, the normal one and the anodized red one, and usually the rule is just get whichever one is cheaper, but these two have been a really similar price this patch. So if they're similar price, get the anodized red one because that will have an additional +5% accuracy and an increase to muzzle velocity. So usually I would get the red unless it's much higher cost than just getting the normal one. And on that, we're going to have the Magpul PRS Gen 3 stock. And one of the big changes with this being the lowest recoil stock is that this one also isn't that great for ergo, especially compared with some of the other changes, and it is a bit longer than the HK-E1 is, which used to be the best for recoil. So you can change this up a little bit if you want more ergo and you want a slightly shorter gun. Now for the pistol grip, we're going with the HK Ergo PSG1. Like with any gun this thing can be put on, this thing is absolutely the best. It gives a ton of ergo. Then we're going to be using the Victor Mur 1S upper receiver, and for the grip, we're going to be using the Magpul M-Lock 4.1 inch guide. For the grip, my account is currently bugged. My account got reset for everything needing to be examined again, and for whatever reason I have examined the RK2 grip, which is actually the lowest recoil grip in the game, but for whatever reason it's not showing up here, and there are currently none on the marketplace, so I'm not sure why it is glitched and why it didn't fully examine. Might have just been like some back-end error glitch. But if you want the lowest recoil possible, it's going to be the RK2, and I will have that on the Tarkov Gunsmith website build. So if you want the absolute lowest recoil, you go with that. Personally, the RK1 is what I would recommend over the RK2 pretty much the entirety of the time. It only has one more recoil than the RK2. It gives a lot more ergo. Usually the RK2 is something that's just you put on if you want the lowest recoil, but I would never recommend doing it, especially with how low the ergo gets on the lowest recoil builds. Now I would always recommend going with the RK1 or going with the Fortis Shift tactical grip if you want even more ergo with only slightly higher recoil. Next up, we're going to be using the JP Enterprises gas system. Now this will give you a slight recoil reduction at the cost of some ergo. If you want more ergo, a more balanced build, use the MK12 low profile gas block. That will give you 2+ ergo at only the cost of 1 increased vertical recoil. And next up, another one of the big changes is the compensator you're going to be using. So you're going to be using the Thunderbeast 223 CB muzzle brake, and on top of that that is going to go the Thunder Beast Ultra 5 sound suppressor. Now it is nice that the lowest recoil for this weapon is a suppressor now, which is actually a pretty big buff in Tarkov combat in general. We are using the longer barrel for this. Having a suppressor at the end makes a gun even a bit longer. So comparing this weapon to the meta M4 of last patch, the meta M4 of last patch ended pretty much at the end of the foregrip of the weapon, and now you have a pretty big increase in the length at the front of the weapon. The meta recoil M4 now is definitely going to be a bit longer, but you do get that silence for the low recoil, which is definitely a decent trade-off. And then for the tactical device, you can use whatever tactical device you want. I use the D-Ball tactical flashlight, and I would always recommend using a tactical device that gives you an IR flashlight. I would never use a laser pointer because people can just see that in the air. It still shines through doors. It's very easy to see and can get you killed. And the D-Ball tactical flashlight also has a flashlight in it, which is very nice when being in really dark areas. So that is the lowest recoil M4 currently in the game. Like I said, the RK2 would put this down to 31 vertical recoil, but that is currently bugged for me for whatever reason, but I would still always recommend using the RK1 anyway. And like I said, there will be a link in the description to the Tarkov Gunsmith so you can easily see all these parts, see all their current flea market prices. So if you want to go check that out. So subscribe if you want to see more Escape from Tarkov videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about the new lowest recoil M4, and thanks for watching.
Сука, подарок! Блять, в укрытие! Чужая граната! Чужие прямо! В укрытие!